this morning, the average price for a dozen chicken eggs in that period was about 1 tuppence. So for instance, you know. But yeah, how much passing trade? You know, very, very little. Now this train, I have another freight train just carrying one mineral again, not this time, not coal, but China clay or kaolin. It is a West Country produce. One still carried on Britain's railways today. Very much associated with this in Ulster area, Cornwall. The Cornish Alps, you know, the waste spoil tips there. But there are also clay workers, or the work afternoon, to get the working man to his place of employment. The railways, they made most of the money transporting freight or first-class passengers. To run these trains, they didn't really want to, but I said they were forced to, so they rostered a very elderly locomotive and rolling stock. The locomotive dates from the 1870s, built at the Wolverhampton Works. The bogie coaches, again, very early examples of bogie coaches, probably from the early mid-1980s. So in time-wise, we're 40, 50 years on, and they're obviously working out the last few years of revenue service before they get to the breaker's yard. Basically there they'd just be some commodities that would be dismantled and then basically you'd be set afire to burn off the timber, it wouldn't get resalvaged, and you end up with the metalwork which can be set for salvage. The most modern part of the train is the little box van on the rear, and this is acting in form as a station truck, and they'll be attached to these services. The railways run on bureaucracy and all sorts of commodities, so if you were the station master of the wayside station, you wanted a new nib for your fountain pen, you wanted a new and these vehicles were first introduced on the railways, not just the Great Western Railway, but others as well, in the very early 1900s. In many cases, not for working in rural branch lines, but for a lot of the major towns and cities where the railways were suddenly losing business, losing patronage, where the towns and cities had tramways, because the horse-drawn tramways had been around from the 1860s and 1870s. But technology caught up with those quicker than the railways, because they started electrifying them in the 1890s, and they were obviously to run more frequent, more convenient, in some ways more comfortable, cleaner, and more importantly, a cheaper service than the railways could offer. So the railways were losing business. So to try and stem that loss, they would have come up with fairly regularly, sort of 20, 30 years ago, programs like Tomorrow's World. He's one of the guest presenters. You can't miss a rather portly gentleman with his white moustache, and but you've heard, or some of you may have heard the Vale commentary. I can hear one right now, that's one of the third commentary. He recorded the first commentary about 40 odd years ago. As a token, somebody has made a model of him and dressed him in his native costume, because he's Austrian, he's Austrian count and prince apparently, you know, was one of thousands, and therefore he's dressed in his native costume, lederhosen. Freight trains carrying just one commodity. Here we have a typical mixed freight train of the period, assortment of wagons, carrying assortment of produce. Obviously in open wagons, coal, timber, farming implements. What's in the box vans we never know. I mentioned the China Clay Company. There you see regular wagons, their own private owner wagons, carrying coal to the clay works a few miles up the line to fuel those clay dryers. And this, running these trains was really the bread and butter, or the financial bread and butter of the railways, from the infancy right through to well, I suppose this period, definitely this period, up through to the 1940s, 50s. From the 50s onwards, road transport was really taking a lot of the business away. Trains hauled by Duke Class 440. These locomotives were introduced in around about the 1900 period, and with the curved rolling plate and double frames. Even for this period, compared to the designs of other railways, they're rather elderly in design, but they were economic and quite efficient at work, and a number were still carrying on working through the 1930s. And several did pertain to cattle trains, one of which is an instruction that cattle, at least a laden cattle train, should never come in a passenger station, because you, the passengers, may find the smell somewhat offensive. But also, more importantly, there was welfare that could look after the beasts. These days, because cattle are transported in the backs of lorries, and I feel sorry for them because I'm sure they're in the back of that lorry from the time they're loaded until they could be many, many miles, and more importantly, many, many hours later. But that's it. Whereas with the railways, depending on the length of the journey, every so often that train would be pulled into the goods yard. As I mentioned, a goods yard, not a passenger station. There, the train will be stopped, and the animals would be examined to make sure they're okay. When they loaded I believe some of you saw this last time round, and some of you probably didn't. But this is the train that represents one that used to travel every day from South Wales coalfield and either up to Kingsley in South London or Acton in West London, where the trains were broken up and remarshalled for local distribution. You've got wagons there such as Ocean, Empire, Anthracite, those are South Wales collieries. You've got others such as TW, Thomas Ward, that further down the train would be POP, Peak Oliver and Peak. These are London-based wholesale merchants, or IC, or basically greasy. This process enabled the driver to take the train forward, picking up just the one way to one wagon at a time. It did make his life easier. In the process, all the wagons are all buffering up, and it's slacking off the couplings, and that was the problem, because to quote Anne Robinson, that's your weak link, because they were stiff, they were still quite fragile, and if you got a snatch as the train pulled away on those couplings, it wasn't unknown for them to break.
Let's go up here.
Now, when they're on the main line, running from Seven Tunnel Junction up through Swindon eastwards, these trains could be laden up to a maximum of 100 wagons. Although the odd train had been recorded even 105, 106. 100, basically because they ran quite slowly, every few miles up the main line they had to be pulled into a loop or set back into a side and allow other services pass. And it was the length of those sides of the loops that restricted the length.
So how many is on that one then?
It's 87 plus the breakdown. I knew that because I did an extra one in today.
Did you count the ones that are already there?
Ah, I did indeed.
The viaduct down there, is that an actual model?
It is. Very, very close. It's based on one generic design of Isambard Kingdom Brunel,
Right.
and they vary. Basically, it's the timber work was when the rails were first being built in the 1814 to 50s through Devon and Valley Floor. It is a model of that, but I'll be honest, it's one here short. And that was built in 1859, and that got rebuilt in 1910. In most cases, they built a brand new form-westry viaducts alongside parallel to the original. When complete, they slew the track, used the new one, and dismantled the old. On one or two occasions, like the Moorswater viaduct just to the west of Liskeard, which you can see very clearly from Liskeard bypass these days, you can see this
Yes.
You can actually see the loo inside. Such attention to detail, it's amazing.
Wales Express, and Pembroke Dock and Cardiff and various other places going up to London. Small boys who came in first of all, there was nothing, everybody came up till about 3 o'clock. So.
Lady downstairs in the lab who was autistic, she signed as a friend, was a bit Marlow, and she says they're going to hear and she doesn't expect to be on until 5:30.
Just to come see the spectacle.
Well, we're creating a model of the landscape of the Vale of White Horse, as it would have been in the 1930s, with the Vale coming through it, of course. But the main emphasis is on the way of life, what the houses are like. It's a composite. So every model is based on the real house. In different places in the Vale. Yes. Western Wiltshire Barks Canal, closed in about 1910 when one of the aqueducts collapsed and the water ran out. So the model was collapsed
What kind of trains is it called?
So
And a
20 years later,
and a
it's all
breakdown.
overgrown.
Basically where everyone wants to train.
Fairly complicated. They've got to select which one to go left and right, and
Yeah.
We have modellers who specialise in different things. Some people do trees, and some people do grass, and then some people specialise in model buildings. I reckon it takes about 1,000 hours of work to model a house. The two big jobs to be done are the church and the manor house, each of which will need 5,000 hours of work, so I reckon. So it's difficult to find the modeller with the skill and also the time and the patience.
It's the determination to carry it forward
Yes,
as well.
yes,
That's
yes.
yes, it does. I mean, it does.
Every time you come to see it. Jigsaw time.
Yes,
This is ongoing, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
No, it looks a bit.
We were hoping to finish in about 10 years. It's taken 30 years to get so far.
And have you been involved with it throughout the whole thing?
Oh, I've been here coming to about 20 years, I think. I'm not a modeller myself, so I'm just a guide, a friend, yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, I came here probably 20 years ago. And I think Guy Williams was sort of sitting on a stool, not
Roy England, yes.
was sitting on a stool
In the corner, yes, he is.
and sort of just keeping an eye on.
Yes.
I remember coming here the first time, it was in the Nissen hut.
Oh,
I was a boy at the
yes,
time.
yes.
But yes, it was.
They put up this building in about 1970, but they didn't start building the landscape till about 1980.
But when I came last time, I think a lot of this wasn't. This was just open.
Well, to start with, you had just the village, I think, was done first.
Yeah.
On the corner.
I Kitchen gardens and
Keep things tidy and clean.
Well, the bananas would be imported through Ahern, and they'd be loaded into these vans, special vans which are heated. And so the bananas that started off green and they'd start ripening on the way to London.
do you remember it? What, 1930?
Plastic then.
No, I'll tell you. Do you remember what it said about the pub with its thatched
Oh
hat
yes,
to
yes.
keep it warm? Well,
Yeah.
that's the one at the back.
Yes. Oh yes.
They all came in big
That's what they
bunches.
still do that now when they do. They just put them in a big plastic bag and then they start
Okay.
writing as they come
Yeah,
over.
well,
It's the
with the-
ethylene, isn't it?
No, well, not in 1920.
Oh right, okay. Alright. They're what I call eyebrow cottages.
Yeah.
They look like it, don't they?
Little wooden bungalow in the 1920s.
With the little grey
With
one.
the grey
on
bungalow.
that, yes, yeah.
Modelled on a bungalow at Rostock.
Oh,